Hey everyone, it's Ansari and welcome to Syntubers. Today I'm going to help you guys to achieve this effect in After Effects. To achieve this effect, you require no third-party plugins. So let's dive into After Effects and begin. First, let's create a new comp by here pressing Ctrl+N. My resolution is 1920 by 1080, 30 frames per second, and duration is 30 seconds. Because my music length is 30 seconds, you can choose any length you want, any duration you want. Hit OK. Now I'm gonna import few files. So here is the 3 files. I'm selecting it, background, music, particular. You can choose anything you wish, any music, any background, any particles. Basically I have downloaded this particle from Video Copilot website. I'm gonna put the link in the description. So let's import it. So first I'm gonna drag the background layer to the comp, and I'm gonna do some minor editing. So I'm gonna put the scale up a bit, add a expression to the position. By the way, I'm pressing S and P to switching the scale and position. So now I'm gonna add an expression called wiggle. I think you guys already know this expression from a long time. So I'm gonna put 1.5 comma 20, and as you can see it's shaking the footage. Let's bring up the music too. I'm gonna put above the background. Now I'm gonna add a solid. Make sure it's fit to comp, black, and OK. Now select the ellipse tool. Make sure you should create a perfect circle at the center. So let's zoom in a bit. Yep. Click and drag and press and hold Ctrl+Shift to create a perfect circle. So my circle is good. Yeah, this is fine. And make sure the mask one is set to none, because we don't require any mask, we just need the path around it. I'm gonna add audio spectrum to here. Let's rename it to audio to organize a little bit. Now I'm gonna play with these settings. First I'm choose the audio layer to music and path to mask one. As you can see, it's create a circle. Click this to hide it, the path, and just make it 1200. Increase the frequency band and change the color to white. It looks fine. Just play with until you get a nice result. I'm gonna soften the edges by 10%. So I'm trying to get rid of this jittery effect, so I'm basically increasing the frequency band. Yeah, it looks fine for me. So it looks good. Yep. It looks good. Let's increase this to 1400 maybe. 1400. And increase the height by 600. Yeah, it's good. Before that, let's choose the side option to side B. We just need it to work on the outside, not inside, as you can see in the demo. Now I'm gonna duplicate it. Before that, let's increase the thickness by 5 plus, not 50, 5. Yep. Now I'm gonna duplicate the audio layer, choose the bottom audio layer, and I'm gonna add an effect called CC radial blur. CC radial blur. Add it. Decrease the frequency band by 100 and also the thickness to 3. And now I'm gonna select the CC radial blur, choose the type to fading zoom and increase the amount by 100. So as you can see, it's create this kind of effect. Let's increase the thickness, so you can something like that maybe. Yeah, it's looks fine for me. Now I'm gonna duplicate the audio layer 2, and now I'm gonna choose the display option to analog line and just increase the maximum height quite a bit. This time I'm gonna scale the audio 3, so let's scale it to create a little variation in here. So as you can see, it's here 104. Yep, let's decrease the thickness by 3. Let's scale it down 102. Yep, this looks good. Now I'm gonna do another 2 copies and play with this audio offset. As you can see here, what changes it makes. So let's make it 0 in here, make another copy, change the audio offset and duplicate it another time, and this time I'm gonna put a negative value here. So as you can see, yep, not too much, it's fine here. As you can see, it's created a little variation. Now select the audio 5, duplicate once more, Control D. This time let's scale it down to 100% first. Basically I press S to bring up the scale. As you can see, S, yeah, it looks good. This time I'm gonna delete the audio spectrum, hit delete, and I'm gonna add an effect called stroke, and let's increase the stroke amount. Let's give it 10. Now hit M, make sure this toggle switch is enabled, visibility enabled, select the mask and double click. Make sure it's set to screen, and then select the mask, double click in here and hit Control plus Shift. So it's gonna help to keep the proportion. If I don't press, you can see it's doing this. If I press Shift, it's making the perfect circle and keeping the accept ratio same, and if I press Control, it's doing from the center where the anchor point is. So let's put it here. I'm gonna duplicate the mask 1, so here I got mask 2. This time I'm gonna add another stroke effect and change mask 1 to mask 2, and select the mask 2 from the, let's rename it to circle first. Select the circles, select mask 2, double click on the path here, press and hold Control Shift and drag it down. As you can see, it's created another circle inside the audio visualizer, and I'm gonna add a progress bar. So make sure you are in the beginning of the frame. Select the circle here at the top, select this stroke, make sure this start is selected to 100. You can do reverse, just decrease the 100. I prefer this way, so I'm gonna increase the start to 100, add a keyframe, go to the end of the frame, make the start to 0. So as you can see, it's basically, let's hide this thing. Yep, as you can see, it's working like a progress bar. Now I'm gonna increase the second stroke which is inside. I'm gonna make it 4. So let's see, does it affecting anything? Yeah, it looks good. Now I'm gonna add a text layer, sorry, not solid. Right click, new text layer, click the drop down menu to bring up the properties, and click the text to bring up the source text. So I'm gonna copy this expression as you can see in here, and alt click in here at the source text and paste it. So it's basically creates a time code, you can say, which is exactly match with your timeline of your project. So I'm gonna put at the very center. Just press or click here to bring up the tile safe action bar and make it's aligning very well. Yeah, it looks good. Just rename it to time. I think I should do a few more adjustments. Select the audio 4. Let's increase the height a bit. Yep. Let's create a more variation. Yeah, it looks good. Now I'm gonna pre-comp all the layer except the background. So right click, pre-comp, visualizer. Right click on the visualizer. As we know, it has the audio layer inside of it. So right click on here, go to keyframe assistance and convert audio to keyframe. So now select the audio amplitude and delete those two channels left and right. Delete. Now press U to bring up the keyframes. As you can see, the slider is changing. The value is changing according to the frequency. So we need the extreme frequency like 40 or something, like you can see here's where our base is present. I'm gonna add an expression to react with this scale. So I'm gonna describe later what I'm doing. So let's create the null object first. Control Shift Alt and N to, sorry, not N, Control Alt Shift and Y to create a null object. Just rename to scale. It doesn't matter, you can choose any name. Let's put a slider control in here. Now I'm gonna link the slider control to the scale of the visualizer. So alt click the scale, pick width, slider. Now sorry, as you can see, our visualizer has gone because the scale slider value is set to 0. So make sure it's 100, and let's select the visualizer. And I forgot to change the blending mode to screen, so I'm doing it now. So it's done now. Now I'm gonna add an expression to the slider control. Before that, let's bring up the keyframe of the audio amplitude. Select the scale, press and alt click on slider, and now I'm gonna type an expression. We're gonna first have to define a variable, so you can choose any letter. I'm gonna define x as a variable, equals to, now select this peak width to the slider again, to the audio amplitude slider. Select this, hit enter. I'm gonna define a condition. If under bracket x is greater than 40, then it's gonna perform a certain task. So I'm gonna put this task here. Let's make a room here, 100, which is our default scale. I'm gonna put some plus x minus 40. I'm subtracting this 40 value from here. Now if doesn't get this result, like as I define, if x is greater than 40, if it's not getting this thing, so what will it do? So I'm gonna just put the 100. So as you can see, it's remaining 100. If I scrub through the timeline, at certain point the value of a slider is changing, and the scale of our visualizer is changing too. So it's done here. And by the way, if you need any help about this expression, you can comment in the below. So I will, as I look into it, I will describe how this function is working. So basically all the effect is done here. As you can see, it's reacting with our work. Now I'm gonna just make it look more cool by adding a lens flare. So I'll hit Control. By the way, click on the scale, double E to bring up the expression, and let's copy it because I'm gonna use it few times more. So hit Control plus Y to create a new solid. I'm gonna rename it to lens flare. Hit OK, add a lens flare, add it, and add tint to desaturate, tint, add a fast blur. I'm gonna add 2 times, so, and then select the fast blur, change it to horizontal, make sure repeat edges selected, increase the horizontal blur quite a bit, and then increase it to soften it out. So this looks fine for me. Select the lens flare, select at the bottom. I'm gonna put it in the bottom. I'm gonna change the blending mode to add. Now I'm gonna give a certain color, so curve, I'm using curve to give a certain color. So let's give it a bluish tone, so I'm basically reducing the red. This is totally upon you how you want to give this color. So it looks fine for me. Select red and just pump up the, so it's basically create a red in the center. Let's select the green, so I'm gonna put the green up a bit. Let's delete it. It's totally upon you how you can achieve this color. You can choose, you can use CC vibrance. I'm sorry, it's a Video Copilot's vibrance plugin. You can use that too. So my effect is done here. Let's brighten it up a bit more. Just, yeah, and increase the horizontal blurriness, fast blur, and increase a bit. Select the lens flare and put it a little bit above here. Now I'm gonna add an expression. Before I told you to copy the expression, so now alt click on the flare brightness, just paste it. Let's make it a room here and just change this value to 0, and this time I'm gonna change this value to, just simply I'm multiplying x by 2. So it's done here. E. As you can see, it's reacting in a very funny way. Let's increase the blurriness a little bit. Yeah, it's look good. Let's duplicate it. I'm gonna put another copy, so let's duplicate it. Select the flare at the top. Let's reset the curve. I'm gonna this time reduce the blue to increase the redness here. You can play with it to get a color you want. So mine looks almost fine. Let's increase the red here. And it looks good. So our lens flare is working fine. Last thing I have to add is the particles, which I told you before. It's totally upon you. It's not required. If you want to give, you can give. So right click in it, go to transform, and I'm gonna basically fit to comp. So this time I'm gonna do the same thing as I did before. Just bring up the expression by pressing double E, copy it, and this time I'm gonna change the opacity of the particles. So alt click in here, paste the expression, and it's done. So let's change the else value to something like 15. So no, and change the transform mode to screen. So at least you can see slight particles always visible, but when the base comes, so it's become more brighter. So last thing is remaining is how to colorize. As you can see in my example, oh, where is my example actually? Let's open it. Yep, here. Surrounding area, surrounding visualizer is colorful. These things are colorful. So how did I give this color? So it's simple. Just click the visualizer, add gradient. Actually it's called 4 color gradient. Drag and drop to the visualizer. It will look like this, and change the blending mode. Sorry, not this one. Select the 4 color gradient, change the visual blending mode to overlay. As you can see, the color of the ring is not quite visible because I haven't added the force motion blur. So let's add it. Make sure it's above the 4 color gradient, and let's just do it. You can make a few copies of 4 gradients, so it will increase the saturation. So yeah, 2 copies of 4 gradient and 1 force motion blur. So make sure give this force motion blur only if you really want it, because it's gonna increase your random time much more. If you really want, you can choose it, else don't use it. This tutorial is ended here. If you have any question regarding this video, please comment in the comment sections. So if you like this video, then hit like and share this video with your friends and families. If you dislike it, then you know what to do. And don't forget to subscribe our channel. Your support will help us to make more amazing videos. And thank you for watching.